Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today and at this moment for our first Fab Fridays with Dandy Day. And I'm Hayley Hoffman, the founder and CEO of Dandy Day. And we are joined here by my personal mindfulness and executive coach, Violet Lehrer of Clarity Path. Say hi, Violet.
Hi, so good to be here.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and join me and my community. As you know, Dandy Day is a conscious beauty firm. And so, even though we really focus on a lot of research and development, supply chain, developing products, um, I'm really interested in developing the conscious mindset of the beauty industry all around. And that includes self care, professional development. And so, this time is dedicated towards that. And you are so key. So thank you. And so today we decided that between Violet and me that we would talk about three mindset strategies for stressful times. It's pretty stressful right now, and but I think even before COVID and everything else, and fires and hurricanes, life is always a bit stressful. But in recognition of that, we wanted to bring some tools, and Violet was going to be the perfect person to do that. Violet, is there anything else you'd like to share before I sign off and just give the floor to you?
No, I'm so glad to be here. I'm really looking forward to supporting everyone. It is a stressful time. And so I want to give you some digestible, easy nuggets today to all of you that are listening to really help reduce stress. That's really the intention. So I've been a mindfulness practitioner and teacher for 15 years. And the reason that I came to it is because I have recognized that it's a framework that I can lean into. And some of this may seem familiar, some of it may not, but it's really the invitation to raise our awareness, to raise our sense and consciousness, and to try something different to really, like you said, take care of ourselves and understand what we're doing. So if you're willing to share the screen, I did put together this handout for you, and it's just a visual, and I'm going to walk us through. So you'll see that the first one is giving up this false sense of urgency. What I am seeing so often in clients and peers and family dynamics is there's this sense of rushing and hurrying and just constant like treadmill, go, go, go. And certainly during this pandemic, I think this is our invitation to pause, to reflect. So, what I notice is it's better to take a moment, even though it seems counterintuitive when we have a long list of things that we feel we need to get done, to pause. And the reason I'm saying that is it's actually better to pause and prioritize than to rush and rush and rush. That rushing is not a sustainable practice. If we can take a moment and create a ritual, maybe in the morning, maybe a couple times throughout the day. I actually have a timer set to stop, connect to my breath. It's great to ground. And the thing about rushing is that we're actually compounding what our experience is. It's creating cortisol levels to rise. And so it's really adding to the sense of, not enough time. And some of it, I'm just asking you to look and check in on how much of that is true. Sure, we have deliverables. Sure, there are deadlines that maybe our customers need, but other things that we're adding to that, that we are putting on ourselves, that's the place I'm inviting you to really inquire. Is that really urgent, or is that a false sense of urgency? The next piece is listening carefully to your inner dialogue. I often call this also our inner critic. So, is the inner critic running the show, or is it your inner coach? Your inner coach is going to be that voice that's encouraging. It's what your best friend is going to tell you. You've got this. It's going to be all right. Take that break. That's not always the voice that's running in our head, is it? A lot of times we are really hard on ourselves. We're expecting a lot of ourselves. I've been hearing from clients, especially as kids are in Zoom and all this new technology, and they're wanting themselves to be almost perfect from the get-go. And look, this is our first pandemic. So let's be kind to ourselves. Let's give ourselves some grace, give ourselves permission to be imperfect, and be all right with the fact that we don't know all of it right now. We are learning and gearing up to what is coming in faster ways, certainly with technology, new technology showing up all the time. And there's different demands right now during a pandemic, working from home, kids, all these different places that we need to tend to. I'm asking you to really pay attention to what your inner dialogue is. Is it supporting you, or is it criticism? That critical voice is our old voice. It's an old pattern that we have created. Sometimes it becomes a habit. And what we now understand is evidence is showing that criticism is not the most effective way for improvement. So if we're actually showing self-compassion, we can relate to whatever we're doing with more spaciousness. Business, there's a lot of disappointment, and some of this is leading to, understandably, frustration and stress. Here's the thing about expectations I want to point to, and I don't know if you realize, but the definition of expectation is that we've actually created a picture of today from the past. Last year, we had this picture of what 2020 was going to look like. We all do it. We all dream and hope and plan and create. Deepening into presence means that we're not operating from last year's expectations. We're not operating from an old construct. We are in today, recognizing what's available today. And by doing that, we actually open up to more creativity. What kind of fun can you do within your day, within your week, maybe with limited travel? Or how can you substitute what was your fun go to fill up your cup routine with something new and engaging? But what happens when we're in resistance, when we're up against something? That's not the place that we will be creatively problem solving. So being agile in our expectations is, we don't know how long we're going to be in this shelter in place. We don't know what this pandemic or how long it'll be here. And sometimes we're setting up ourselves up for greater disappointment if we're telling ourselves, well, maybe it's just a few more weeks, or maybe it's only this amount. And I understand that we're looking for hope, and yet there is this contradiction, which is that we don't know. And so being agile in our expectations also means being willing to rest in the unknown. That takes practice. It's kind of getting rid of the calendar and saying, I'm going to approach things as they show up, and I'm going to start afresh. I'm taking a new piece of paper, especially on something that's really weighing you down. Is it the kids that are at home? Maybe it's some of the things you've had to change for work. I know I've had to really be agile in my expectations on my group facilitations, which I used to do face to face. And how do we transition that? There are different waves that are coming in and out with these expectations. And I think this is something we have to tend to almost weekly as we're navigating a new season, as if you have, a new project. How are we managing and focusing on really, in a way, surrendering and not having the expectations that we had that is overlaying what 2020 is going to be, because we don't have the sense of predictability. So these are the three practices that I'm bringing into your awareness. And so really the pause is key, and it's something you can do as simple as 3 breaths. 3 purposeful breaths can bring you back into the body, can help you to ground, or you can even put your feet on the ground and bring your awareness to that. And that can be your pause. If you're able to take longer and make sure you're taking a lunch break, try that. So look at your calendar and see where you want to intentionally and purposely create your pauses, and see those moments where you have a tendency to rush and to speed up because you feel like there's more to do, and see if you can try something new by actually pausing and prioritizing instead. And again, a recap of listening carefully. And I know that for some of you, this may be new information and you may need additional support on that, but really, are you paying attention to the thoughts? Are you paying attention to what you're telling yourself? Because this really can change our experience. And again, being agile in our expectations is recognizing so much of what our experience is based on a reality and a picture that we painted a while ago. And how can you deepen into today and be present to today and what this new reality is bringing to lessen your experience of disappointment? Hayley, did you have any questions or any thing that you needed on these three?
Well, I was just looking through these 3 points and thinking how over time we've worked together. Because it's been almost a year that maybe it is
Mm-hmm.
exactly a year that we've been working together.
Yes,
I met
exactly.
you maybe 8 months before we started working together. It was just the beginning of last year, and mindfulness was like a completely new concept to me. Like I had heard about it and just in passing, and people say, "Oh, mindfulness, mindfulness." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And I thought that I knew what it was. And then I was in a group session where I met you, and you walked through exactly what it was. And I was in a place where I was so frustrated in my career, in my relationships, and I didn't understand why. And so out of the 3 points of stressful times, I was reflecting back on the most stress for me was my inner critic.
Mhm.
You've helped me so much through that. It was okay, I can manage my time. I'm pretty efficient. You know, have a tendency to overrun myself, but I crash. And
Yeah.
I've tried to get better at that as I've gotten older. Um, and as far as my expectations, I've had disappointment after disappointment in my life, or my life in general just didn't turn out the way that I ever thought that it would. So I learned to be agile, but it was really that inner critic that was just kind of crushing me, and holding me in that place of, um, yeah, like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. Um,
It keeps us stuck and unfulfilled
yeah,
is,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. I'm gonna stop showing the this part. So,
Great,
um,
great. And you're bringing up a good point, which is, what is mindfulness? So anyone who's listening for the first time that isn't familiar with that, it's the practice of bringing awareness to our feelings, our body, and our thoughts with a non-judgmental way, which is really that sometimes we see something and that judgment, it can be the inner critic, it can be, I need it to be different. So this practice of awareness and acceptance, moment by moment, that is a mindfulness practice. So it does not need to be meditation. A lot of people get that confused. They think, oh, that's not for me. I'm not a meditator. And it's not. Everything can become a mindfulness practice. Washing your dishes, driving your kids, whatever you're doing is a mindfulness practice. It's the energy and the intention that you bring to it that makes it a mindfulness. And so when I look at our thoughts, and I think the inner critic voice is a place that a lot of us can feel very stuck, heavy, and really like the weight of the world on our shoulders, because sometimes that narrative, I didn't do it right, I'm not enough, is what we were either heard overtly or subtly as children. And that is the tape that we continue to play in our head. And it does take practice to change that. But we do know now that we have neuroplasticity. We absolutely can change that voice. no question. And we are able to then operate from a much more expanded, joyful, really my commitment is for inner peace. And that's, what we're telling ourselves, because we spend more time with ourselves than anyone else, really matters and it has an impact.
Yeah, I think you know, one of the things on here is like what would one of your friends say to you if you're going
Mhm.
through a hard time? Yeah, through our work I realized, maybe I don't really like spending so much time with my thoughts and myself. Like as you said, we spend the most time with ourselves, and I was just always kind of beating myself up a little bit. And I think maybe for every like step forward, I would kind of in my head maybe take a step back, like, oh well, don't get too excited about that, or just well this time, but maybe next time it's not going to go so well. And that judgment, I think, yeah, it's kind of the way that I was raised. It was very judgmental. And I think for a lot of people, it's culture is starting to change. But yeah, when I was a kid, it was very judgmental, and I learned to be judgmental of myself and others. And when I was able to kind of let go of that, that's when my life started expanding, as you mentioned. But I'm so thankful for you because you've been very key and instrumental in that expansion and personal fulfillment, which makes my company and my job and my community so much more enriched because I'm not so caught up in my inner critic. So,
That's so well said. Thank you for that. It does make the entire experience more enjoyable. Sometimes if we're rushing to the destination and we truly do miss out on the journey,
mhm.
we've missed out on a lot. And so, yeah, thank you. I really resonate with that. And it's been nice to share some mindfulness tools with you individually and with your community. And it's just been really my deepest desire is for those that are feeling stuck or burdened to have a little bit more joy and peace in their day.
Perfect. Thank you so much again for your time, Violet. And did want to let everybody know who's watching this that even though you've been a mindfulness practitioner for 15 years, you have children and you were also working in the corporate world. So you come with so much amazing background that this isn't just, something you decided to do out of the blue, but it's something that you transitioned to because you're really passionate about it. And I think that makes you a really wonderful executive coach as well. You've been an executive, run a business, you know so much. And I feel like I get to benefit from all of your life experience in that role and also as a mindfulness coach.
I really appreciate those words, Hayley. I did come to this because I understood the challenges. Running a business is incredibly rewarding and has taught me a lot. And there are real challenges within that. Business of 400, and we're fortunate to be able to exit that in 2018. But all the way throughout, what carried me was mindfulness and to be able to offer these tools and through my life coaching certification, it's been rewarding to watch clients blossom and to really help transition them to wherever they want to go through executive or as a mom, wherever they are, and to fill that gap and be that bridge to where they want to be. So thank you so much, Hayley. I really appreciated being with you.
Well,
Thank
thank you. And I know my community is thanking you. And so for everyone there is a handout. So the PDF that we went over on the screen is available for download. So please download that. And there will be a survey afterward too. And so we'd love to hear from you, hear your thoughts. So we thank you so much for your time. Again, have a fabulous Friday. And thank you so
you.
much.
Fabulous Friday.
Fabulous Friday.
Great.
That'll be more. Oh,
Yay.
I guess I should
Mhm.
announce the one for next week too.
Yeah.
So next week we will have Dr. Renford Reese from the Colorful Flags program, and he is a professor of political science at Cal Poly, and he will be sharing five phrases to build cultural competency. So in today's age, right now, as there's been so much conflict and talk about bias and cultural diversity. We thought he would be a wonderful person to come and speak and share some very actionable tools of how to create peace and harmony among us and diversity. So join us next Friday. And on that, have a wonderful weekend. We're going to sign off.